Cool. There we go.
And we're on, my friend. It's really a huge honor to have you on our Quebec radio show, Prescription Punk Rock. For people that don't recognize your voice or your face, who the hell are you, man?
I'm Nick. I play drums in Hellbent.
Man, Nick, it's an honor to have you on Prescription Punk Rock. Maybe for people that unaware of the project, people in Quebec, how that project started up.
About 8 years ago, Matt, the who plays bass, he actually writes everything. It's kind of his passion project. Um, him and Phil, the vocalist, had played in a band previously a couple of years before that had recorded at my parents' basement. Actually, one of the first things I ever recorded. So I did a couple songs with them. Or yeah, and then so they were starting a new project, and Matt asked me to get together to just kind of write some drums and demo with them, as I had just started my studio at the time, and kind of had the means to do that. So he brought the like 4 songs, I think it was, um, and laid down some kind of simple drums and just kind of like skeletons of them. But yeah, by the end of the kind of couple hours of doing that, I was kind of like, oh, these are really fun to play. Why don't I just play drums with these? So he was like, yeah, cool, and kind of filled me in with the whole plan of having Phil on board and everything he wanted to do with it. And yeah, so here we are 8 years later, still going. So
It's a good run, man. It's cool because, in a way, 8 years ago, the scene was pretty different, you know. Of course, we just got the worst thing ever for 2 years. But outside that, I think the scene was kind of getting a second, getting just excited as it was in the 90s, you know. Um,
totally.
and it was that for a couple of years, but I think that, after 2002 to 2008, 10, it was just, label were not interested in punk rock anymore, and a lot of band disband, and everything just, in 2008 to 10, there was, band getting back together, festival with crazy lineup, and I think the nostalgic was there, and then we got hit by the pandemic. So I think now we're at a new start, and it's gonna be really exciting to see Ben like you that have experience and have the talent to put it to another level, and and get that dream getting just higher.
Exactly. It's yeah, we're looking forward to starting to play again. We haven't played yet since the just before all of that started. But a bunch of the shows that I've gone to, since shows have started happening again, they've all been great. Like they're all selling out, and like all local bands, and having 150, 200 people to like an all local band show is really cool. Like that, I don't remember that since, probably I was in high school, sort of thing. So yeah, it's cool seeing that again, that some of the benefits that the whole pandemic has kind of brought to light. So yeah, it'll be fun to start getting out and playing again. We're looking forward to it.
You're right. You're right. It's like a fresh start, and I'm happy that that people gonna realize the impact of the scene, they have around them, and it's crazy, the quality of the scene,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be really interesting, like I said, to see a lot of band grow bigger, and a time shift with the headline that are well established. A lot gonna leave the scene in a couple of years, so I think the scene was in need of new band, and just an old band getting a better position, if you want.
Exactly. And like I think the downtime with a lot of the bands has kind of allowed for new projects to start that, people didn't have time for before, and kind of like reshift some focus. So it's cool kind of seeing some of the new things that are coming out that you know, potentially wouldn't have happened had people didn't have a bunch of time locked at home to start writing new music. Um, so yeah, it's a cool kind of exciting time for live music again.
Is, with the pandemic, did that help, the processes of creating getting maybe more fast because you had more time, or it was all planned before the pandemic to record new stuff?
We actually started recording a record right before the pandemic started. I think it was November of 2019, late November. So we kind of finished that very slowly when we were allowed to get together. We're very spread out. Like our bass player Matt lives in Montreal. He moved there just right before the pandemic started. It was kind of like, February, mid-February 2020, he moved out there. So it was hard at times, kind of even just him getting back to Ontario to be able to do anything. So, I mean, for us, it kind of slowed us down a lot. Um, but again, like a lot of the bands that I work with at my studio were opposite and we're able to write a lot more and kind of use the technology and remote capabilities to write and get through things a lot quicker than we were. So yeah, it unfortunately slowed us down a lot, but we I think it was probably about the summer of the first summer of the pandemic, we finally were able to kind of get together and get get everything finished recording there. So
Did you think that a lot of people, and I'm including myself, took music for granted in a way, and now we know the value of music because it really entertain us, but it make us feel very well.
yeah, totally. I think, and not even just music, but like kind of all art and any sort of those distractions. Absolutely. It's and I think I'm guilty of it too. Of there's a show on a Friday. It's like, oh, it's a long day. Like I'm gonna skip this one. Where now it's kind of like, oh, you got time to make up for, and it's kind of like, oh, I was missing that, and kind of getting out whenever I can now. So yeah, I think that yeah, all everyone it took a little bit of for granted, or took all the arts a little bit for granted. So
It's true. It's true. Cinema and even going to museum and everything. And now we know
absolutely,
it really help us as human as develop ourselves. And it's really interesting how many people stop their self from creating because they're fear of something, and it frustrate them. And I'm sure a lot of people go in wrong direction because they just don't let that fuel out. And I
uh,
think through music, through what you express, you just go off and you just get through that moment, just living now and just creating something that have an impact on you emotionally, but can have an impact to the others. And I think that music and the new stuff is a good example from that because it's fucking good. I mean it. After 8 years, we felt that you guys really connect together, and just the maturity and being at that age and still doing music. I think you just enjoy yourself and trying to do something, not taking yourself seriously, but doing something seriously musically and lyrically. And it's a fucking great stuff.
well, thank you. It's yeah, I think we've kind of hit a point of we're all a bit older now and into our 30s, and yeah, playing and writing music for the just pure fun of it again. And it's yeah, different than early 20s where you're trying to achieve a few things, and now it's a little bit more like, hey, we're just having fun writing the songs that we want to hear, and writing, not taking ourselves too seriously, writing silly songs about penguins and sandwiches and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. But it's the combination, I think, of just the fun stuff, doing something that you enjoy and you have the fire for fun, and just being with people that you enjoy, and together creating something that create energy that people want to embrace. And it's gonna be crazy. Can't wait, of course, to see you live So how's going to be the rest of the years? Will you, there's some shows. How's going to be for you guys?
Yeah, we're doing our first tour since since November or October, something just before COVID. So yeah, first one in 2.5 years. I think it
Wow.
starts July 2nd, is the first show that starts in Halifax. And then we're working our way back towards Hamilton. So I think the last show is July 11th or something like that. And then beyond that, I'm not too sure. We again, as I said, we're very kind of spread out, and we all kind of do our own kind of have our own endeavors within music that keep us pretty busy outside of Hellbent. So like Matt, for instance, he's does tour managing and driving with a lot of bands that fly into tour Canada. So he's gone touring most of the entire summer, actually, aside from just ours. So it does really limit kind of the time that we have for Hellbent. But so yeah, currently, I think the July tour is the only thing that we kind of have solidified and happening in the book so far. But we've talked about some other stuff for kind of the fall. So hopefully we'll be able to get out there again,
Yeah,
do some of the cities that we're not hitting on this tour in July. So
that would be great. Of course, Quebec and Montreal waiting for you. Did you come to Quebec City a couple of times?
we have at least. I think at least 3 times now, for 3 or 4 times. And then yeah, Montreal, it seems every kind of 6 to 8 months we're in a pretty steady cycle of hitting that. But yeah, Quebec City is actually it's one of my favorite cities in Canada. I love Quebec City. It's beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to getting back there. Yeah.
That's cool, yeah. And I think the whole Quebec is really special in their own way. Montreal is really different than Quebec City,
Oh,
even in the
absolutely.
mentality. And somehow we have two beautiful scenes. I'm seeing those two cities, but the Saguenay. I mean, there's scene everywhere in the whole Quebec, and it's really cool. Seeing a lot of Booker, trying hard to keep that scene alive, and it's really working. And we're lucky in a way, to have a really more solid scene than maybe back in the days where it was less structured, but it was pretty different anyway. It was
Hmm.
another time. But yeah, and the scene is pretty cool. We in Quebec City we get more and more great band going out, and yeah, it's pretty rad. But Ontario, it's crazy, man. I'm doing so much interview from band, but Ontario is pretty big. But I mean,
Yes.
there's so many bands. The scene is so alive.
It's yeah, I feel like Ontario's been very fortunate, and there's always been some bands that are kind of keeping the scene alive and doing the thing. And like even from, as early as I can remember when I started going to shows when I was 14, 15, there's always been the Silversteins and Roses Deads and Cancer Bats, and then the next era of the kind of like Den Divines and Straight Reads the Lines and stuff. And now there's the next kind of generation of that's coming through, which has been really cool to see that there's kind of there's always been that steady flow coming from kind of the Southern Ontario area. I mean, even going back into like the 90s, before I was aware of it, it started. So yeah, I feel we've been very fortunate and lucky to kind of grow up in this area that has that.
And I think everything changed before, and because people got time at their end, and they were listening to way more music they like before, so they learned a lot about their local scene and discover band from all over the world. And I'm surprised because I did interview with many bands that I thought that were not well known here, and people are like, no man, we heard about that band, we listened to their new records, and they're from, I don't know, Spain or Italy, and I'm like, crazy, them? Wow. And it's beautiful to see that people are they want, that they want a scene like the 90s back, and I think everything is collide. So I think it's going to be excited to see, all those new names just releasing crazy records, and people getting excited about that, like back in the days where in the 90s, Fat Wreck every band they were releasing got an hype, around them.
Exactly. Exactly. It's yeah, no, it's funny how that like that trend's starting to like yeah, come back around. It's yeah, I completely agree.
But the thing is that we're at our 40s, or
Yeah.
our 30s, so we don't have that much drive that back in the days, but still it's really beautiful. I went to see the Circle Jerks, and there was people in their 50 and 60 just doing a little slam. Like, it was just
Right?
like cute. And the merch girl that was way younger, she gave a poster of the show to everyone that was slamming there, just saying, wow, man. Just like,
It's
and I record a video, there's no age to slam. So, in a way it's crazy because we grow up with punk rock, and it's there since the 70s. And like I said, there's no age. It's just keep yourself young and just have fun, and seeing those smile and everything. So, and now it's cool because I was surprised. I attempted a couple of shows since everything went to normal, and we're seeing kids at their beginning of 20s, man, just be curious because they heard about their parents, and they had 2 years. Their
totally.
parents, back in my days, back in my days, and now they're 20, and they're curious. So at the Puzza there was a lot of kids. I heard maybe 100, and they all went crazy. At first they didn't know how to slam and everything. When they got it, like, the security have to slow everyone. Okay, there's two. And they're like, "Oh, okay, okay, there's limit. We just we didn't know. We just went crazy." And yeah, I think, I'm saying to Ben, like, kids are coming, and it's gonna be another thing that's gonna change everything because they have so much energy. At 20s, we just want to conquer the world, and with the people well established, it's just okay. I'm 40, but I still got the fire, so I'm gonna show you, kids. So it's gonna be really cool, and that decent and positive competition, and about just getting just better.
Totally. It's I love going to like shows of, like Converge or Descendants or something like that. Where you can see the guys in their like 40s, 50s in their suits that clearly like just got off work and having the night out beside kids that are like 16, 17 and like both equally into it. It's yeah, it's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, yeah. And I went a couple of decent show when I saw kids, like really young kids, kind of bringing them, and they're like, Milo, Milo, and it's just beautiful to see. And I love that because I'm just seeing myself in 10, 15 years, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna rock like that. It's not that bad. Still got it. It doesn't look that, oh, daddy's going to show, I'm so embarrassed. No, it doesn't look like that. It's just like we're still cool, and that's the thing about life. It happens so fast that you really have to enjoy every moment wherever age you are, and it just keep you alive. And like I said, like going to show, and I'm sure it happened to you every time, you feel well for like the next 2 days. It's just
Oh,
something.
absolutely. Absolutely. It yeah, keeps us young.
So with the release and everything, how's the best way for people that can see you for the tour to directly encourage you buying merch? Is there t-shirts, CDs, vinyl, or whatever?
I think on our Bandcamp is probably the best place for that. I think there's stuff up there. But yeah, the on all the the streaming and social media stuff, we're on there. We're not the most active. Should be more active, but yeah, there's the record on there as well as I think all of the previous EPs that we've put out and splits and stuff like that. So there's a whole probably 20 minutes combined music of everything on there. But yeah, and yeah, through that, I think there should be some links to be able to like buy records, buy some merch online. But yeah, through just searching for Hellbent, Facebook Hellbent HC, and it's yeah, all through there.
Everything's there. And, just encourage the band. But if you can, just go catch them live and just fucking learn the song and sing them loud.
Exactly.
Or yell it. It doesn't matter. Because, like, I think, if you see show recently, like people that want to have fun, they have more fun than ever in their life. People are smiling, they're smiling more. People drinking,
Again, making up for lost time after the last 2 years, right? It's again, like, yeah, the bunch of shows that I've been to, everyone's just been going off. It's been wild. Everyone's having a great time. Yeah, it's a good time for shows.
there's a lot of show coming for the summer. What's your next show you're gonna see?
Um, that is a good question. The one off the actually, some friends of mine started a new band called Constrain. That I've been working on an EP with them the last, I think it was actually this past weekend. So they're playing their first three shows ever in 2 weeks. Um, so I'm sure there's probably something before then that is slipping my mind, but yeah. So Constrain is playing June 16th, 17th, 18th in Milton, Hamilton, Toronto. They're playing with a bunch of friends, Rust and Single Wound and Reality Denied. So yeah, those are going to be a ton of fun. Looking forward to those. And then a couple nights after that in St. Catharines, Hexus, a band from Europe's coming through. And Trauma Model, good friends of ours that, again, I just finished an EP with them. They're coming down to play it. So yeah, those will be the next two or three, I think. Yeah, they're all going to be a good time.
Yeah, that's rad. That's right. I'm going see Sumo Psycho on Tuesday, tomorrow. Tomorrow night they're hitting Quebec, and then it's the Red Bridge, Pont Rouge. I
Nice.
don't know if you. Yeah, that's crazy.
Nice.
The lineup is amazing.
Yeah, that'll be a good time.
Yeah, can't wait. It's gonna be my first festival. I went to two festivals last year, but mostly it was in Cage.
Okay, as it would be. Yeah, yeah.
It's not really Cage, but that's how I'm pronunciated tonight. But yeah, and one festival that there was not really any social distance or mask or anything, and it was crazy. But now since the pandemic, it's kind of done. It's the first one, so it's gonna be crazy to see like everybody go nuts.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'll be fun. I'm excited for you. That'll be a good time.
Cool. You're saying you're recording. It's really rad. Since when and who's the last artist you worked with? You mentioned a couple of one or
Um, yeah, Trauma Model and Constrain. I've just been finishing up with doing EPs with each of them. It's probably 10, 12 years ago now. Actually, a little bit longer than that. 12-ish years ago now that I started. Like I say, the guys in Hellbent like did a bunch of stuff with them before Hellbent started. And then about 10 years ago, I think it was, I started my own studio in Hamilton here. And have just been working pretty steady out of there since then. So every Hellbent release has been done there that I've done. The last one we actually worked with Scott Middleton that played in Cancer Bats. He helped us produce it and engineer it, which was a ton of fun working with him. First time we'd kind of worked with a producer as well, an outside producer. So that was interesting. Um,
yeah,
but
it's such an awesome dude. I
oh
know
yeah,
him. I love Cancer Bat. They're a good friend, and I'm pretty sure he really understood the direction you wanted to go, but not like trying to press you and doing something, but just following the flow and just letting go with with experience and that talent he got.
exactly. It's yeah, it was cool. Him and I, he worked out of my studio for a number of years actually. And we would like produce bands together. He would produce and we would record them together. But so yeah, it was the first time kind of working in that dynamic with him. But yeah, it was cool because yeah, it was, just as you said, it was kind of he knew kind of like when to hone things in, and when to kind of let some of the chaos be chaos. which was cool. It's yeah, it definitely made for a more concise, defined or like thought out record than what we originally started with. Um, so yeah, it was a fun experience. So um,
Cool. Of course, we're gonna wait for you in Quebec City. Till then, we're gonna do a huge special with. We're gonna play songs from the EP and the new records, and of course, I'm gonna send you all the details. But thank you so much. Seriously, I love the project. It's really
thank
an
you.
honor. As you know, a sound man, you know really how to define something that sound good, but have something unique and different, and that's what I love about the project. You're not trying to recreating something that was kind of already done, you know.
No, exactly, and that's everything I do. I try to not just recreate the same thing, and try to like kind of push forward. And I mean, the last EP that we did before the record was a couple years, and I think that we'd all grown as musicians and players and people as well. And myself as an engineer, producer, mixer had kind of grown, and so I wanted to kind of push what we were doing. Um, and yeah, I try to do that with every project I work on. I have a lot of bands that I do numerous records with, and it's always kind of like looking back at the last one, like, okay, here's the benchmark. Let's make this one sound terrible, so this new one is really cool. Um, and like like forget, yeah, and I know we used these amps and these drums on the last one, but like this is where we're at now. Let's forget before and go in this direction. So, and it's I'm fortunate that everyone else in Hellbent kind of trusts me and allows me to sort of push and do some of the things that I do. So it's yeah, it works well. The dynamic is there, and yeah, it's nice having that trust. So
They just don't show it.
exactly.
I'm kidding, but yeah, that's the thing with music. You know, it's something that you can play with, and I think that's why it's so interesting because we never knew with you guys how it's gonna be. And again, I repeat myself, it's really one of the most interesting project in Ontario, and can't wait. It make that like I don't know if you're microbrewery beer fans.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I think I am a little bit more than everyone else in the band, but yeah.
So people go nuts for things that are rare. So you're that gem that don't cannot play often because of the reason everybody's busy in the band. So it's pretty rare. So people, when you see them, go catch them. You're gonna freak out, and I'm gonna wait in Quebec for you guys. And if you need anything, I'm there. And
Well, I
we're gonna do
appreciate it.
that.
Thank you.
Make sure we send all the links, and people go encourage them. Just a like on Facebook, or I don't know if you have Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really help them out because they're like algorithms and they fucking suck. Thank you so much, my friend.
Ah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
I had a blast.
Likewise, likewise. I hope we can do it again. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Quebec.
Yes, you're stuck in a false contract that doesn't really exist, that you never signed, but you can came back as many time as you want.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers, my friend. Have a great night.
Yeah.
And we'll send all the details when we hear the interview. And I repeat myself, we got the podcast available for people that cannot listen live, but we have a link on the website so everybody can listen live around the whole world.
Amazing.
Okay, cheers, my friend. Bye
All right.
bye.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.